Welcome back to the CryptoFather channel. Today is the 10th of June 2025, a year that's shaping out to be the top year for the release of crypto IPOs. We've had ICOs in the past, initial coin offerings, but now crypto companies are launching their IPOs, initial public offerings, which is something that companies have been doing for a very long time. But now crypto companies get to sit at the round table with the big boys and do the exact same things that the companies have been doing for a very long time, that the stock markets have been doing for a long time, that Wall Street has had their clammy fingers in for a very long time. And now finally crypto companies are growing, becoming of age. So sit back, relax, smash the like button on this video, subscribe to the channel, and let's get into this doozy, because there's a lot to unpack. So the crypto world is experiencing major transformation, with companies finally getting their golden ticket to mainstream financial markets through initial public offerings. Circle, that just released its IPO, saw its shares trade as high as 235% from its IPO price on the day of its stock market debut. That is insane. While Gemini have already filed for an IPO, there's an announcement by the Daily Hodl and Winklevoss twins backed crypto exchange. Gemini files for IPO with SEC. So like every single crypto company that's out there is now filing for an IPO. Binance is beginning to consider, their whispers of Binance considering an IPO as well. Think of it as a coming of age of a digital asset. They're no longer the rebellious outsiders, but now they're getting invited to sit at the big boy table with all the other Wall Street behemoths. But the perfect storm brewing for a crypto IPO involves three ingredients. And these are basically the reasons for why we're seeing so many more IPOs popping up left and right. First of all, there is a more friendly regulatory environment, institutional investors' growing acceptance, and companies' desire to signal mainstream credibility. The SEC is softening its stance against cryptocurrency companies. They're dropping their lawsuits. And so you've got the path clearing for companies like Ripple and Kraken, who were under the limelight recently but through the SEC filing lawsuits against them, which now have been dropped. And you would think it's hard to tell which comes first. Basically, the reason why SEC is dropping the lawsuits is because a lot of institutional investors are jumping headfirst into cryptocurrencies, into Bitcoin, and are investing heavily into the development of cryptocurrency spaces. And so I'm not sure, it's hard to say which came first. It's kind of the chicken or the egg. Was it the SEC dropping the lawsuits and becoming softer, resulting in companies jumping headfirst into these investments? Or was it the companies, institutional investors coming on board that caused the SEC to drop the investments? I think it all has to do with Trump stepping in and trying to present himself as the crypto president, which caused the SEC to fall in line, because every single hobo now wants to be the panel, and they're trying to ingratiate themselves with the Trumps. And so they want the SEC to look good in his book so that they can get their cushy jobs, collect their money for the next 4 years, and then fuck off once Trump is gone. And we're going to watch this entire circus collapse once more after 4 years, after Trump's term is over. In any case, IPOs send strong signal, earning a place on a stock market index, which holds so much weight across the traditional finance sector, evidences your position as a successful mainstream and compliant business. Kai Wu says Circle's IPO is a milestone not just for one company, but for the whole crypto application layer. Apps like Circle are now out earning the very blockchains they're built on. Let's look at the top 20 revenue generating crypto projects. We got Tether, Tron, Circle, Hyperliquid, Pump, unbelievable, Jupiter, Sky, PancakeSwap, Athena, Aerodrome, Ethereum, Layer 1 blockchain, Aave, Lido Finance, Base, Solana, Uniswap Labs, BNB Chain, Usual, Jido. And so we've got Gemini filing for an IPO with the SEC. The crypto exchange platform backed by the billionaire Winklevoss twins has submitted a confidential filing for an initial public offering. Not so confidential since it's already made public. Offering IPO with the US Securities and Exchange Commission. In a press release, Gemini announced that it has sent a confidential draft registration statement to the regulatory agency related to the public offering of its stock. The price and the number of the shares have yet to be determined. The firm says that it expects a listing after the SEC completes its review process, which kind of makes sense for the SEC to have to do that in order for the shares for the IPO to take place, subject to market and other conditions. By filing confidentially, Gemini can keep some of its crucial financial data private while testing public demand for its stock. Filing confidentially also allows firms to prevent potential early market reactions or strategies employed by competitors to hinder them. Whatever the case may be, another IPO is probably coming our way, another crypto IPO. That's the most important thing. Stablecoin firm Plasma secures 500 million from initial coin offering on Sonar. This happened within a day, I believe. The fundraising was completed via stablecoin deposit into Plasma's vault, with users raising 500 million within an hour. So to me, it looks like the IPO phase or the ICO phase is back in swing. In 2017, everyone was in on ICOs, including myself. It was not the best thing to do back then because everything was being bought with Ethereum. And for those who have found themselves losing out on that fiasco, you probably find that if you had held on to your Ethereum rather than exchanging it for some shit coins that were being launched by different ICOs, you would have had been in a much better position right now. But the IPOs right now are a little bit different because you actually invest into these shit coins or into these companies with your hard-earned dollars. So you purchase shares or you purchase coin offerings or position offerings, stock offerings, rather than buying shitcoin. So it's a little bit different. Obviously, it's a lot bigger. It's a much bigger deal. For this particular thing, individual deposits were capped at 50 million. The Plasma stablecoin vault now contains 345 million in USDC, 486 million in USDT, 7.5 million in USDS, and 1.2 million in DAI, according to Arkham. The stablecoin ICO follows Plasma's 24 million funding round. A lot of new IPOs / ICOs coming your way. Trump and Musk feud fuels 4 million into prediction markets. Odds hint at Trump impeachment risk. Now, I don't think that's going to happen. And if it did happen, that would be an absolute disaster. And I mean, like right now, this would be a massive, massive disaster. And this would be probably the end of the bull run as we know it right now, because we don't know who'd be replacing Trump, and we don't know what would come afterwards. So this is just unnecessary FUD. But the crypto prediction platforms have become an unexpected scoreboard for the Trump-Musk feud that escalated last week. On Polymarket alone, bettors have staked more than $500,000 on whether Trump will face impeachment in 2025, while smaller markets are tracking odds on everything from Elon Musk unfollowing the president on X on the pair parching things up before July. And they should sit down at a table and talk like grown-up men, not like little girls playing around and messing about. The blockchain group unveils 300 million euro ATM-style Bitcoin treasury plan. In latest Bitcoin news, the blockchain group plans to raise 300 million euro to expand its Bitcoin treasury, with 1,471 Bitcoin valued at 154 million. Blockchain Group's new 300 million ATM raise aims to significantly boost its holdings. So this is another company that is trying to raise a Bitcoin reserve without actually calling it a Bitcoin reserve. But basically, that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to generate 300 million worth 300 million euro, which is about 342 million US dollars, in order to boost its Bitcoin holdings. So the drama between Musk and the Trump unfolded because of the Big Beautiful Bill that Trump has pushed. The Big Beautiful Bill is a large and controversial government spending proposal from President Trump's administration. According to the Congressional Budget Office, the bill's debt service costs are estimated to reach 551 billion between 2025 and 2034, pushing the total deficit impact to 3 trillion over that period. And this is something that Elon Musk was not very comfortable with, and this is what he tweeted against He was basically saying that this would bankrupt the US economy. Trump appeared to retaliate by threatening to cut off billions in federal contracts to Musk's companies, which include Tesla and SpaceX. The easiest way to save money in our budget, billions and billions of dollars, is to terminate Elon's governmental subsidies and contracts, Trump wrote in a Truth Social post. I was always surprised that Biden didn't do it. And then in order to retaliate, Musk went ahead and called Trump a pedophile by connecting him to the Epstein files. Musk did that by claiming, without providing any evidence, that Trump's name appears in sealed government documents related to the late convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, and that this was the reason the files have yet to be released. And so Binance, another IPO. Binance may be looking at an IPO. Binance CEO Richard Tang says any public listing must be approved at the highest level, leaving timing open for Binance. And of course, it's not set in stone that this is going to happen, but even Richard Tang said, I'm too old to say never, right? So I think that Binance will release an IPO. Since every other company is doing it, why wouldn't Binance, one of the biggest, if not the biggest cryptocurrency exchanges, the longest standing cryptocurrency exchange in the world, why wouldn't they launch an IPO? They certainly might. Although I guess depends on how BNB, the price of BNB would do. I would assume that would skyrocket in that position. So this will probably have to be a very well calculated move and pre-approved, but I could see Binance launching an IPO as well pretty soon. And Strategy is picking up more Bitcoin. Strategy's latest massive Bitcoin buy has the crypto world buzzing. Is this a bold move, or do they have insider knowledge about what's coming next? I think it's safe to say that Strategy is just on a constant spree of purchasing more and more Bitcoin. According to documents filed with the SEC on June 9, Strategy purchased Bitcoin at an average price of $105,000 each. The company now holds 582,000 Bitcoin in its reserves, acquired for a total of $40 billion at an average price of about $70,000 per Bitcoin. So even at these prices, because of the amount of Bitcoin that they hold, the price jumped up from, I guess, 65,000 to 70,000, but it's still way below the actual price that Bitcoin is being offered at right now. And don't forget that Strategy is now has decided, just announced this last week, that they're going to offer a bunch of new shares. Though they've issued 11.76 million shares of the Series A perpetual stride preferred stock at $85 each. So they're raising more money by selling additional shares of whatever concocted ideology that they created in order to raise more money to buy more Bitcoin. These securities promise a non-cumulative dividend of 10%, an attractive option for institutional investors seeking yield. And GameStop adds 4,710 Bitcoin to Treasury in strategic shift. So it just doesn't stop. More and more institutional investors are coming in to scoop up more Bitcoin, which makes you wonder, why is Bitcoin stalling? When we look at the chart, let's have a look at chart. What's Bitcoin doing? Right now, we've got this massive candle. So on the weekly, it's pumping. We've hit the Fibonacci support right here, but haven't broken above it. This Fibonacci support here at the top line at $109,000 is a resistance that was created in January of 2025 this year, when we hit the all-time high of $109,000. Of course, the all-time has changed since then, but I'm keeping this Fibonacci retracement because it's a part of the entire retracement of the entire move. And of course, it provides a nice resistance, which has not been broken yet on the weekly. On the daily, it has been broken on the daily. Didn't really sustain for a very long time. We had one daily candle break above that, and then a nice red candle break below that, and we haven't had another candle on the daily break above that level, of that Fibonacci level. So we've had Bitcoin retrace all the way down to $100,000, and it seems like that's where we stand. Actually, it wasn't even $100,000. It tapped the 200 MA moving average, which happened to be coinciding just about with that 100,000 level here on the Fib. So that's where we're at right now. And we see this massive candle on the daily and on the weekly as well, and the massive green candle on the weekly. So this is where Bitcoin's at right now. And another thing that's happening en masse is the release, or at least the appearing interest in the production and the release implementation of CBDCs. Korea has been doing it for the past couple of months. I think Korea has launched a 3-month-long test of CBDCs with the Korea Bank, and now Hong Kong apparently is going to use Chainlink protocol in a CBDC pilot project. So it seems like a lot of the companies, a lot of these blockchains that have been released, XRP, Chainlink, hopefully not ADA, but I mean, who says that it won't be, right? So a lot of companies, a lot of nations are using these individual blockchains in order to launch CBDCs on top of those blockchains. Just in case you were wondering why there's so many companies or why there's so many blockchains, this is the reason why. Because China will have its own blockchain releasing Chainlink, releasing CBDCs. The USA will have its own blockchain releasing CBDCs, XRP or whatever. So don't presume that XRP is going to sweep the world and all the globe will hail XRP and use XRP, because China, or Hong Kong in this particular case, will have its Chainlink. The States will have its XRP, and other countries, other nations will have their blockchains on which they will launch their own CBDCs. And CBDCs are probably coming. There is no way of stopping them. And I don't think that CBDCs will take over the world, but they might replace fiat money, or attempt to replace fiat money. Although I don't think that fiat will disappear entirely. We're going to continue to have cash. People will continue to use cash unless governments institute a unilateral requirement for people to submit their cash, like they did with the gold during the IMF in South Korea and in the States, when they took all of people's gold and got rid of the gold standard, basically rendering the US dollar completely useless, not even worth the money that is printed on, as they say. And the SEC Chair Paul Atkins supports the right to self-custody Bitcoin and crypto, calling it a fundamental American value. How far has it come? Holy macro. So we've had SEC Gary Gensler basically trying his hardest to ban crypto and anything crypto related, to now the chairman of the SEC saying that it's a foundational American value. It's been written in the Constitution. So this is massive. This is massive. And to my friends out in Canada who were telling me, I had a conversation with my friends last time I visited, saying that crypto was a passing trend, that it was over. My dear friends, listen to what's happening right now and don't be like your fathers. Buy that piece of land, scoop up some Bitcoin, some crypto, because your children will be looking at you years from now saying, why didn't you buy it when you had the chance to? That's what's going to happen. Heed my words, peeps. My Canadian friends, heed my words, because this is going to hit you like a brick wall. This year is going to be massive, I think. And not even this year. I mean, we don't have a lot more time left. We probably have a couple months left before shit hits the fan and we start beginning to see a retracement, and we start to enter a bear market. But the next bull run in 2029 will be massive. I think we might see Bitcoin reach that $1 million mark, depending on how far we'll go this time around. Ethereum is going to skyrocket because there's a lot of institutional investment coming to Ethereum. BlackRock is scooping up Ethereum en masse. They're going to begin offering ETFs. And so companies that will invest into BlackRock ETFs will be able to make profits on Ethereum, on staked Ethereum. And so Ethereum will be paying dividends to these companies. So multi-million dollar institutional investment, or even individual investments from whales, will be able to make profits, will be able to collect dividends on Ethereum, which is something that a lot of other companies are not able to offer. And so this is why Ethereum will become such a hot asset on top of everything else, on top of Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies that are coming to the mainstream markets. If any of this is interesting, if any of this was educational and sparked your interest in crypto, if you have any questions, suggestions, or pointers, make sure to leave them in the comment section below. Smash up the likes on this video, subscribe to the channel, pick up a Descent wallet. You can get them at a discount right now with the CryptoFather ref link below the video. pick those up. Descent have a nice giveaway right now that they're doing, so check out the video on that as well. I'm not going to talk about it here, but they do have a giveaway that they're doing. So get a Descent wallet, start earning on Descent, and of course store your crypto on Descent wallet because it's the best biometric wallet out there for you to have. Have a fantastic Tuesday. I will see you on Wednesday tomorrow. Peace.